The neck that shook WWE, Stone Cold Steve Austin, SummerSlam, August 17, 1997. Owen Hart lifts Austin for what should be a routine sit-out piledriver, but his grip is just high enough for Stone Cold's head to stick out like a lightning rod. The landing? Head first into the mat. Instantly, Austin's arms and legs go limp, hanging like loose cables. The crowd thinks he's just selling until he crawls, slow and awkward like a puppet with cut strings, over Owen for the 1-2-3, and collapses. Backstage, panic. Diagnosis, broken neck, spinal cord damage. The technical wrestler we knew was gone. In his place came the brawler, the beer-slinging rebel who flipped off his boss and lit the fuse on the Attitude Era. That neck injury shortened his career but supercharged his legend. Sometimes you have to break your neck to become the head of the table. Metaphorically, anyway. The pop that stopped the game. Triple H's torn quad, May 21st, 2001. Raw main event. Stone Cold and Triple H versus Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit. Everything's flowing until Triple H takes a simple move outside the ring, and his leg just gives out. His quadriceps muscle literally tears off the bone and rolls up into his hip like a busted window blind. Any sane person would be done, but Triple H? He fights the rest of the match. He even lets Jericho put him in the walls of Jericho, a move that bends your legs backward, while lying on a completely destroyed leg. Why? Because it's live TV and because Triple H would rather lose a limb than lose a match. He's out for nearly a year. No WrestleMania, no big angles. But his 2002 comeback at Madison Square Garden? The pop nearly blew the roof off. The quad tore, but the legacy didn't. Rated R to retired. Edge's neck injury, 2011. WrestleMania. 27, Edge retains his world title, walks backstage like it's just another day in the office. An office with ladders and 250-pound coworkers falling on you. Days later, his doctor drops a bomb. One more bump and you could be in a wheelchair for life. Edge had spent years spearing people midair, taking ladder falls that would make gravity jealous. The bill came due in the form of spinal stenosis. The next week on Raw, he stands there with no chair, no cheap shots. Just a mic and the most honest promo of his career. He thanks the fans, lays down the belt, and walks away. 9 years later, he returned with a beard and fire in his eyes. But that 2011 goodbye was proof. Even the ultimate opportunist can't plan his own expiration date until he unretires. The casket that broke HBK, Shawn Michaels' back injury Royal Rumble, 1998. Casket match against The Undertaker. Michaels takes a back body drop over the top rope and lands lower back first on the solid wood edge of the casket. No padding, no give, just crack. At first he powers through because it's HBK and the show must go on, but the damage is severe. 2 herniated discs, one completely destroyed. He still guts it out until WrestleMania 14 against Stone Cold, every bump looking like torture. After that, 4 years off. Ironically, that bump helped WWE's Attitude Era take over. DX evolved, Austin became the guy, and in 2002, Michaels returned cleaner, sharper, and somehow better. Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom, or in this case, solid wood, to find your second act. The flip that floored the Beast. Brock Lesnar's Shooting Star Botch, 2003, WrestleMania 19. Brock Lesnar decides to dust off a move he hasn't done in years, the Shooting Star Press. That's a backflip from the top rope for those keeping score. He climbs up, launches, and lands short, way short. Head and neck first, like he's trying to fold himself into carry-on luggage. The stadium goes from deafening to dead silent in seconds. Lesnar somehow finishes the match, F5 pin title, while barely knowing where he is. Diagnosis, concussion, neck strain, and a lifetime ban from himself on ever trying that move again. Moral, even beasts crash, but they still walk out with gold. If there's an injury moment that still makes you wince just thinking about it, drop it in the comments. I want to know the ones that stayed with you long after the match was over. The knee that collapsed the architect. Seth Rollins, November 4th, 2015. A non-televised house show in Dublin. Rollins goes for a sunset flip powerbomb. Basic by his standards, but lands wrong. His knee bends the way knees aren't supposed to. He still finishes the move because, well, wrestlers. Turns out he's torn his ACL, MCL, and meniscus. Full set. Out for 6 to 9 months. WWE has to rip up its title plans, and the architect becomes the patient. When he returns in 2016, it's with metal in his knee and fire in his eyes. Lesson learned. Even the best blueprints can't stop a freak accident from bringing the house down. The muscle that made Superman mortal. John Cena, October 1st, 2007, Raw. John Cena versus Mr. Kennedy. During a simple hip toss, Cena's pectoral muscle tears completely off the bone with a loud pop. He still finishes the match because of course he does. It's John Cena, and pain is just a side quest. Then Randy Orton strolls in and RKO's him for good measure. Expected recovery time, 6 to 12 months. Actual recovery time, 3. His surprise return at Royal Rumble 2008 blows the roof off Madison Square Garden. You can hurt him, but you can't book him out. Cena is basically a human cheat code. The one-day reign, Finn Balor's dislocated shoulder, August 21st, 2016. SummerSlam. Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins to crown the first ever WWE Universal Champion. Rollins powerbombs Balor into the barricade, and his shoulder pops out like it's quitting mid-shift. Balor pops it back in himself, yes, really, finishes the match and wins the title. The next night, he has to hand it over. Torn labrum, surgery, 6 months out. From first ever champion to what could have been in under 24 hours. Sometimes you win the fight but lose the war, and sometimes your entire title reign fits on a calendar, and still makes history. 8 injuries, 8 turning points, and proof that in wrestling, pain is just another plot twist. Boo the injury, never boo the booking, because the moment the crowd goes quiet, the business really gets hurt.